Oh, hey, didn't see you there. Welcome back to the Jersey Nerds podcast. Say it with me, Bpoe. You're home for debates and discussions surrounding
Jersey
sports
nerd
hockey uniform. Wait, I forgot. Wait, no, I forgot it. No, I forget.
It's not just me.
It's been too long. Sports uniform design, hockey jerseys, and more. That's what I'm.
We have a dying live studio audience in the background.
Oh,
if you cannot hear,
are you? It looks like you're torturing in some sort of basement or dim like corridors.
It is a dorm room with terrible lighting.
Same thing, same difference. Close enough. Honestly, yeah. So we'll kick it off. What you wearing?
Hold on. Oh, okay. I thought you were going to start on our topic. I am wearing a Toronto Blue Jays jersey with none other than Vlad Guerrero Jr. on the back, the new leader, the all-time leader for home runs in a season by players named Vladimir Guerrero. Fun fact.
Respect to Vladimir.
Just yesterday, he beat his dad's record for home runs in a single season.
So, well, yesterday, as of recording, because people listen at different times, think of the listener. Think of the audience.
Date the podcast, Brendan. God.
Tuesday, September 14th at 11:57 p.m. EST.
Yeah, that's the.
This is Jersey Nerds at night, fellas.
Why, the fact that you're recording at midnight concerns me greatly, but
look, I am nocturnal. Well. This is nothing to me.
I was going to say respect to Vladimir for kind of breaking the stereotype, because like Vladimir was just like, oh, that's the stereotypical Russian hockey player or vampire name. But no, they the Guerreros, they really brought that name out of there. And good for them. Glad for
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Sr., notably not Russian.
And next up comes sophomore. Right? You're senior, then junior, then sophomore. That's how naming
Vladimir
kids
Guerrero freshman.
Exactly.
Chris, what are you wearing?
Well, my jerseys are back there on the wall now, so that's nice as you can see. So I just have a Long Beach State football shirt because they're undefeated since 1991.
Explain the joke for those who don't get it. Is there a joke? I assume there's a joke.
The program shut down in 91, and they've not had a football team since. So undefeated.
I figured it was something along those lines.
91. Take that.
Just like the Seattle Kraken are undefeated.
You're not wrong.
The Toronto Blue Jays are undefeated in the last 3 hours.
Probably not as like when people listen to it, but like maybe what if they were?
I mean, like as of recording, which skip back a minute if you need to figure out when we're recording. Well, what do you expect me to do, Chris? Predict the future?
Yes, you should. You should know by now. You really should. It's already
coming. You're asking this of the guy who, whenever COVID started, said this is going to last like 2 weeks or whatever. Or was like, maybe in 2 weeks we'll be done with this. No.
Well,
it is a year and a half later, and we are still in this.
Considering the time zones that we're in right now, me being on the west and you being in the east, you're in the future. You're in tomorrow. It's already the next day where you are.
It's 11:59. It's 11:59.
Oh my gosh,
not yet.
Whatever. Calm. Jeez, whatever. Anyway, it has a number
an alarm for midnight so I can tell you.
It's a little late for that. There's less than a minute till something. You're not going to set an alarm for
Oh, there it is. 12 a.m. Wednesday, September 15th. Let's
go. Gosh dang it. Anyway, on
top of the morning.
I'll call it a set list, even though it's not music. There's a number of hockey-related topics that we'll get into, but first I'm going to get into a couple other things because I haven't been on in a while, and I feel like I should just kind of talk about things for a minute. Previously, you and Justin went through and ranked all the MLB City Connect uniforms. And
That is correct.
City Connect, good for them. And the only thing I'll comment on is because I
And
was
cities
asked,
really do be
what are my
connecting,
thoughts?
don't they?
Me being an LA Dodgers fan, like, hey, what do you think of that? And overall, my thoughts on that Dodgers City Connect uniform were, yeah. And that's mainly because they kept the Dodgers brand intact overall. You still had the same overall uniform design. It was funny you guys were talking about, like,
No, they
they
wear
have
uniforms, not overalls, Chris.
There's no buttons on the. That looks kind of weird. I should stop doing that. They have. It was funny how you guys were talking about how they put, it just says Los Dodgers. Like, that's not Spanish. It's funny because in Spanish, the pronunciation becomes Los Dodgers, which most people spell Doyers. So they technically could have done that, but I guess they just didn't. I don't know why. And yeah, the cap was there was a lot on there. Not gonna lie, but I was overall pleased with it. I'm not a fan of all one dark color baseball uniforms, but considering the fact that when I heard it was going to be unveiled in late August, I had just assumed that it was going to be a Kobe Bryant Lakers inspired Dodgers uniform, and so considering what we got, I'm happy. Compared to the alternative as far as brand integrity goes, wasn't bad.
The Los Angeles Mambas.
Not the worst name for a team, but you don't need to change the name. Anyway, and since I haven't been on in a while, I realized that over the past week or two, I've been taking notes of different food things that I've tried. So we're just gonna do a quick food review right now because why not? It's late. It's past my night with Bpoe, so why not?
So I didn't think I need to preface this, but I didn't have reference images for that because I wasn't expecting that. I don't have one for the food reviews either. So
this is not the Jersey Nerds podcast. This is the food review podcast.
That probably already exists and is
welcome to Jersey Nerds food reviews. How about you?
Welcome to Foodie Nerds Late Night After Dark.
Welcome to Food Nerds. What can I get?
Your home for debates and discussions on the greatest and latest foods and stuff.
I'll take a large.
Okay, I was trying to make this as short as possible, but you're not
You tried.
making it easy. Anywho, I was on a 6.5 hour drive, and in the very beginning of that, I was like, I need to eat something for breakfast. And so I pulled over, got gas, and I was like, what's even around here? I don't like McDonald's that much. I don't like Burger King. And I looked up and I'm like, gosh dang it, I think I have to go to Taco Bell because I don't like Taco Bell that much. It's just if you're gonna get Mexican food,
Taco Bell is very good. Taco Bell is very good if you don't have high standards, but I like it. It's not high standard food, but it's good food.
I respect all the different things they make out of the same ingredients. That's pretty cool. Not gonna lie.
Isn't that every food?
No.
Technically, every single type of food uses the same large batch of ingredients, or the same large pool.
Are you saying every recipe uses the same ingredients? Because
it pulls all from the same pool of ingredients. You stick an ingredient in it. And it's here are all of the ingredients. Here are all of the ingredients, and you take some of them, and here you go. Here you have a meal.
By pool of ingredients, are you referring to the entire Earth?
I guess so.
The world is Brendan's.
You know what uses eggs? Omelets. You know what else uses eggs? Scrambled eggs.
Oh my god.
You know
what else uses eggs? An egg McMuffin.
Okay, yeah. I'm not even talking.
I didn't say everything used eggs.
Speaking of eggs, so I pulled in a Taco Bell drive-thru. I'm like, okay, I just want something cheap that looks edible, whatever. And I got a couple things. One of the things I got was what they call I get all the words. You know what? All the words seem out of place in an item. It was cheesy toasted breakfast burrito potato. Is what it was called on the website when I looked it up. That was actually I'm not going to recommend it. You can go there if you want and get it. I don't care. If you find it, but it's just like a little tiny like burrito, like breakfast burrito, and it's simple. It's just eggs and little diced tomatoes, but then seasoned potatoes in there, like seasoned, like not like roasted, but like another seasoned potatoes, and then nacho cheese. Like I would not like have thought to put nacho cheese with like scrambled eggs and seasoned potatoes, but like it worked really well, and it was like
Wait, whose cheese?
Yours.
Ah.
Wait a second.
Well, it's nacho cheese, so I guess it's mine.
Exactly. That's how it goes.
Mine cheese and my
Okay, real quick. What are
my cheese?
the things I tried lately?
Thank you, live studio audience.
My beautiful girl showed me a barbecue place called Famous Dave's I'd never heard of, and apparently it's a chain, but like I don't know where it is or anything like that. Anyway, they got a barbecue sauce called the Devil's Spit, which is like way better than it sounds. Trust me. Like it's. What else did I try lately? Ooh, Starbucks has an iced apple crisp macchiato, and I don't usually drink hot coffee, so I tried the iced one, and like it's pretty good. Like most coffee, I'm just like, yeah, it's not that great, but like that's pretty dang good. You know, sweet and fall and whatnot. What else? We're not sponsored, by the way, so somebody come and give us money. Oh yeah, at Target with my fiance the other day, and she's just like, I'm thirsty, like I want a Gatorade. We're like, okay, great. So we go, like we're checking out, and near the checkout lines at Target, they have those like little fridges that have different drinks in them. And so in that little fridge, there was a red Gatorade, and there was like a skinnier blue Gatorade. And she was like, oh, I want the blue one. So grabbed the blue one, checked out and left, and we're driving away from Target, and she like takes it out and takes a drink. She's like, this tastes weird. Like this has a weird aftertaste. And I go and I look at the bottle and I'm like, you bought Gatorade with protein.
Huh. I didn't know that existed, but here we are.
It's the blue cool blue
Gatorade. It says
protein
pretty big on the bottle. How did you miss that?
I don't know. This is Gatorade 0. I'm just like, that is weird.
Well, was it good?
That's the thing. Well, like, and then she's allergic to dairy, and so she looked at the bottle and she's like, why does it say like may contain milk products or whatever it contains? I'm just like, yeah, it says contains milk ingredients, and I'm just like, it's whey protein. They use whey protein in the Gatorade to give it
no
protein.
Way.
Oh my
and it's just like,
As
you think you're drinking Gatorade, and then the protein just lingers in. You know, like the taste of like it's just a little bit of that just lingers in your mouth, and there's no sugar in it either. So like,
well, now I'm gonna have to get a Gatorade protein and try it out.
Oh yeah, I laughed at the little thing that said, "Notice: use this product as a food supplement only. Do not use for weight reduction."
Oh
no.
When you're thirsty and you end up with a food supplement, doesn't that just suck? It's never what anybody wants.
I have a food experience that I can quickly add to the Food Nerds podcast.
Yes, live studio audience.
Oh my god.
Live studio audience face reveal?
No, it's not a real person. That's not a real person. Speak now or forever hold your food.
Hello. It's me. I exist. Sheet's burrito bowl.
Ooh. Okay, I had a bite of that. It was very good.
They put tater tots in it.
Well, you told them to put tater tots in it.
It popped up at the end and said, "Do you want tater tots?" And I said, "Sure, why not?" Like, why not? I'm living chaotically today. And it was fantastic. Don't sleep on Sheet's burrito bowls.
If you live in the Pennsylvania area.
Yeah, if you live in the Pennsylvania area and can't find Sheet's onion rings and have to find something else. Yeah.
So first off, we should clarify Sheet's is some kind of place and it's not bed sheets. Do not order food.
No, do not make a
Correct.
burrito bowl out of bed sheets.
I mean, you can, but you're not going to have much success out of that one.
Yeah.
Have you tried my bed sheets? Wait.
I can.
Chris, I don't want to try your bed sheets. I appreciate the offer, but I'm going to have to pass.
Anyway, I'm going to move on to the final food thing I got.
Okay.
You know when you see something in a store and you're like, that can't be real. Why did they make that? That doesn't exist. Like that's not okay. But then you try it and you're like, dang. Funyun flavored Lay's.
Ooh. Funyuns are good. Lay's are good. I would never think to put them together, but now that I've heard it, I don't hate it.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Like, I like them, but like, because it says they have 3 limited time flavors. Apparently, they have Cheetos, Doritos, Cool Ranch, and Funyuns. But like, I've only seen them at like
on
one
my way
store.
home tomorrow, it looks like I'm now stopping and getting some protein Gatorade and Funyun Lay's.
Did you say there's Dorito flavored
Lay's
chips?
Yeah, Cool
There
Ranch.
are chip flavored chips.
I don't know where they are though, so like, good luck finding them.
That seems cursed. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't support
Well,
that.
dude,
If you like the taste of Doritos but not the texture, boy, do I got something for you.
What a world we live in.
Next up, we're gonna have original Lay's flavored Doritos, which is just salted chips.
It's just tortilla chips. It's just plain tortilla chips.
except somehow worse because
they try
the
to get
texture
like
of
the
the Dorito is
waviness.
definitely worse. You know,
They try
honest.
to get the waviness in the like triangular chip, and it does not work. Yeah.
I mean, it could if you just made a normal tortilla chip, but no, they have to go and make it all like thinner and weird and you know, powdery.
They just had to be special.
No, but good for them. No, respect it. When you have so many different chips under your brand that you can just like make fusions of them, and it's just like, okay, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Frito-Lay Empire.
I just realized
yeah.
I'm still like in the shadow. Hi, I exist. There we go.
Debatable.
I mean.
Yes, you are. You are quite mean. Anyway, I think it's time to get into
Before that, you already brought it up a little bit. I got 2 things to bring up. Okay. For one, congratulations to that Chris that you're looking at right now if you're watching, or that Chris that you were listening to if you're listening, on his recent engagement.
Yes!
And also, fellow Jersey nerd Hunter, congratulations on the birth of, not him, his wife, him and his wife, the birth of their first child. Hunter did not do the birthing process. He helped.
I would be very impressed if he did.
But congratulations to them on the birth of their first child, and Chris on his engagement.
I think
Jersey Nerd's been making moves over the last couple of weeks.
I think somewhere in that sentence you said the birth of his wife, and like...
Brendan did say that. I wasn't going to say anything, but it did come out.
Wow.
I mean, it happened at some point.
So what I'm hearing is a certain Jersey nerd has to be the next one to make a move, is what I'm hearing.
Wow, now you're really putting the pressure on me, huh?
You're painting yourself into a corner.
Hey. Putting pressure on during a recording is forbidden and not okay.
It's okay, I tease. As I pat your head like you're a small child. It's fine. Pretend that didn't happen.
Speaking of teasers, we have already teased what we're going to talk about. I mean, not really, but like, we're going to talk about things, so let's do it, because it's kind of late and I'm tired. But you should keep listening, as though
I am 3 hours ahead of you, behind you, whatever.
We cheered
off. It is 3 hours later here, Chris. You have no excuse.
There's 2 Kings jerseys behind me.
There is a Blue Jays jersey on me.
Have fun with your jerseys.
I don't know what point you're trying to make there, Chris.
Because you said you were 3 hours behind me, and I said, no, those are behind me.
I get it.
So, our first hockey-related
Hey, what did you say?
To talk about? I said, go, Hens, go.
Okay.
I figured you'd allow that. I'll allow it. Anyway, earlier you were saying... what were we saying? Oh, yeah, we're saying you exist. Like, you exist, you know, like, things exist. And I was going to be like, guess what else exists? The Seattle Kraken. Aha. But then you're like, no, you went off on something
Great
else.
transition,
You're
Chris.
welcome for the
Thanks.
transition that did not work.
Great transition.
We are now diving into the depths of the Seattle Kraken, the newest National Hockey League team. And because they're a new team, they get an inaugural patch. It goes on their chests. Like, I mean, if you're
Like
watching
that.
the video, you can see where I'm tapping on my chest. But like,
And
this
if you're
is where
watching the
patch
video, you can
is.
now see the reference image on the side.
Ooh,
That shows the logo.
Fancy. And where
And
it is.
the logo on the jersey.
Wow, really
Would you
fancy.
look at that?
Yeah. So for those of you who can't see the video, it's kind of, how would you describe the shape? It's like a shield, but then it's got like, it's a little more point. It's not straight across on the top. It's like more pointed on the top. It's like got a point in the middle of the top, I guess. So it's kind of like a shield with a little tiny mountain on top.
Imagine Vegas's shield shape, but just take the top and make it pointy.
And with rounded corners on the sides.
Do we need the
Yes.
art major to give an accurate description of this shape?
And we had a little bit of technical difficulty there because, it's like Y2K, like when Bpoe's computer passes a certain time, everything just blows up and shuts down. But we were talking about the Seattle Kraken's inaugural season patch, and we're describing that a little more now because it says inaugural 2021-22 season on it. It's got a little sublimated mountain in the background, which is pretty sick. But then there's this element of ocean water blue, which kind of makes it problematic for the patch. And it's got the Seattle Kraken logo in the water on it. Bpoe, what do you think of this inaugural season patch?
It's a patch. I mean, I don't think there's anything too special about it. I think it's done well. The small details in the waves and the background of the mountain. I imagine those would look pretty good embroidered. I don't think we've seen a close up of the patch itself yet, have we? If not, I don't have the image. But it does the job. I think it makes a lot of sense, having the Kraken in the water. It's a shield, not much of a surprise there. And despite what I said about it looking like Vegas's, I don't think it actually looks like it's a Vegas knockoff or anything like that. It's just a shield shape. Yeah, it's just a shield shape. And it does its job well. It looks good. Yeah. I mean, again, nothing super spectacular, but I don't really have any complaints about it either.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I do like their font, which is used in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. When I look over at the, because there's a graphic of different other previous inaugural season logos over on sportslogos.net. It's a graphic showing a bunch of different inaugural season logos from the Mighty Ducks to the Panthers to the Blue Jackets to the Vegas, all those kinds of things. And perhaps people will get it up. Who knows? I don't expect them to.
I am working on it.
I believe you. It's funny because you look at this patch and you're like, yeah, it's a good logo. The shape seems. I wish we got more explanation of why that shield shape, because it's cool. It's a very good shield shape. I just I want to know why a bit more. I like the mountain in the back. I like the water. I like them representing all these different places and things. And it's funny because I guess you kind of have to have your primary logo somewhere in your inaugural season patch because if you're just using that as its own logo, you kind of have to have your team logo in there. But it's funny when it's on a jersey because then you just get a really tiny version of the jersey crest also on the jersey, which I think is funny. But when you look at it compared to other previous inaugural season logos, it's by far the best out of all of them. I don't know if that's just because I was gonna say graphic design in sports has improved, but I don't know about that. Not in every. It's gone to different places, but yeah, as far as an effective, there we go. There's the graphic of the people watching on the video feed. Looking at it as just functioning as a patch, and as a logo, it's definitely the best one out of all these NHL inaugural season logos. And so it's nice that it's got the lighter blue as its primary, and then the navy kind of accenting that. And it's a good one. What's cracking?
Seattle. Seattle is cracking.
My bones.
Right, you are. That was terrifying to hear somebody just yell "my bones" from off in a dark distance. Oh my gosh.
Would it make it better if I stand in the darkness again? I can do that.
So that's what's cracking in Seattle. They got a little patch on their jersey chests. And they have ads in their helmets, but that's another thing. What other?
Thank you, live studio audience.
What they say now?
I just said my bones while standing in the darkness. It's fine.
That's cool. Anyway, speaking of things going blue, I guess that works. The Colorado Avalanche are a team that we've talked about every now and then for.
I'm gonna cut your audio and just
little while.
The Colorado Avalanche are a team, and just cut it right there.
Well, yeah, they're pretty good team though. They're pretty good.
The Colorado Avalanche are a team, but they're not a team. The Ottawa Senators are a team.
We talked a lot about them, entering last season because they were switching their equipment color from black on the gloves and pants to blue. They're kind of their steel blue color that they have. And we're like, oh, it looks great on the home, but there's a lot of issues with the away one because you have a black name and number on the back of it, and then you just have blue pants, and everything seemed kind of disjointed. Well, the Avs have done what they can to fix that because now the numbers on their white jerseys are blue. Indeed, the numbers on the backs of the Avalanche jerseys are now blue with
the image on the bottom is last season for comparison.
There you go. Yeah, so we got a blue number and a light, little thin outline in burgundy, as well as a burgundy name on the back. So the Avs have done what they can. There was already no black on their home jerseys, so it didn't really make a difference, but there was a comparable, a large amount of black in comparison on their away jersey, and so they managed to just remove the black, aside from the little bits of it in their logos. They have basically dropped black as a color from their uniforms as much as they possibly can.
I would assume with the exception of the puck on the logo, which, fine, it works there. It's like the red eye and the Sabres. It works. It makes sense.
I don't think anyone was complaining about that. Either of those things.
I'm just saying, it's probably still there. It's just somewhere else.
Indeed. So, a significant NHL jersey change, at least to us, significant. Anytime a jersey undergoes a visible change, it's kind of, significant. And especially if it's a primary set. Bpoe, what do you think of the blue?
First of all, thank you to that helicopter or whatever that was on Chris's end.
There's a landing pad right
That's just live studio audience.
I don't think it likes it. Anyways, I don't know how to feel about this. I almost feel like it works with the pants, but just looking at it on its own, especially with the jersey, no. Just switch the maroon and the blue. Do a blue outline and maroon numbers, and you're fine. The blue pants, I know a lot of people don't like them. They're a little weird, but they've grown on me quite a bit, especially on the road jersey where there's not much blue on the jersey or the socks or anything. I guess there's some on the socks, a good bit. But they've grown on me quite a bit on the road jersey where originally it seemed kind of disconnected. I don't think this is the way to go about it. I think you need to add more blue somewhere else if you're going to do it. And ultimately, just for overall best, just switch the maroon and the blue, and I think you're fine. Because it works on the sleeves where they have a blue outline, I believe. I would assume it's blue on the sleeves. I don't know what else it would be unless they kept it black.
What do you mean blue on the sleeves? Where are you?
The TV numbers. The
Oh.
arm numbers. I
No, you'd
would assume they didn't keep that
switched
black.
as well. Yeah, let me
Because
try
that
to
would make
find
even
more.
less sense.
No, the outline on those numbers is blue. It was already blue, though.
On the sleeve numbers?
Yeah, I think it was already blue.
I thought it matched the back and was black.
We'll look into that a little more. It's funny because the Avalanche, their whole history, no one's really questioned the fact that they were
Oh, it is
balanced.
blue. You're right. That's weird.
Their whole history,
Okay, then.
which since 1996, not that long of a history, nobody's really questioned the fact that they just balanced burgundy and steel blue and black and white and gray or silver. Like little bits of each, and nobody ever really questioned. They went through some dark phases. Let's not let's not pretend they always had it right or always had it perfect. But when they switched to Adidas, it was definitely the best look that they'd had. And so looking at just the change on the jerseys, the nameplate and back number change, overall, I think it's a move in the right direction because, the more you can kind of, nail down your brand, you have such a unique color scheme. They have two colors together that no other team in the league is ever going to have together. And so I think to embrace those fully is good, and to make it so it doesn't look, as disjointed as it did last year, is also good. That being said, I find it interesting that this was basically, anytime a team goes under some sort of cosmetic uniform change, especially with their jerseys, because jerseys what you sell to fans, and that's a significant thing. I found it so interesting that they chose to kind of roll this out in two parts over multiple seasons, because they could have just kept their black equipment last year and waited until this year when the jerseys were ready to do it all. But instead they decided to, roll out the blue equipment last year with their existing jerseys and then update the jerseys to match the equipment for this year, which is interesting. Again, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know how it works. This is one of those changes that at first we're going to be like, oh gosh, that's weird, that's strange. But I'm glad more things match. I'm glad things are going to match each other better between the home and the road jerseys. I'm glad the colors are going to match it better. It's one of those changes where it's going to look really weird for at least a season. But we're going to get used to it, and we're going to accept it, and we're going to think, hey, you know what? Maybe that wasn't so bad. You could talk about switching the burgundy maroon color and the blue color on the road jerseys, but then you just have blue pants with a very blue heavy jersey. I feel like that's also not going to work because that's not their main team color is the dark red and should be that way. But having the blue to support it I think it's a good move overall. And so I'm glad they did something, I guess, rather than just leaving it like it was for 10 years, because they could have done that. Teams have done things like that before, Overall, it's something we'll get used to.
I'm not going to lie, the more I look at it, the more it's growing on me.
Honestly, just look at a nice photo of it from the back. It does look weird because,
and especially once games start too, it might start to look more normal.
Oh, absolutely! I think it's going to look just fine. Since '96, for over 20 years, they've just had black numbers and black pants, and their white uniform has been almost entirely devoid of blue. And so now they found a way to throw it in without, destroying everything, I guess. So yeah, interesting rollout, but overall, it makes sense that an Avalanche is blue, I guess. Also, because of their two team colors, I'm now going to refer to this team as blue raspberry.
Yes.
Why not?
Why not? Kelsey, what Pokédex number is why not?
Excuse me?
Don't know off the top of my head.
The live studio audience knows a lot about Pokemon. and has some Pokédex numbers memorized. And why not is a Pokemon, for those of you who don't know. We are getting some research. Should we move on while we discover what Why Not's Pokédex number is?
Sure, you can do that.
It's number 360.
360. Never mind.
I just realized that looking at the Avalanche white jersey uniform now, you get kind of Canadians vibes from it. Like kind of the alternating color balance between a sort of red and a sort of blue is kind of there. Because Montreal, they have their red yoke, their blue numbers, their blue pants. I think I might be stretching it a little bit, but I think there's a similar like general idea there that I think might make this look more successful than we think it's going to be right now. There might be something to it. Again, if we're mad at it, it's going to be because it's different and it looks weird. But like from
people
a common sense
change.
perspective, well, no, of course not. Because why would you want a bunch of little coins in your pocket? It's annoying and dumb. Change sucks. Yeah. But like when you look, you think of a common sense. But if you were starting off designing,
Chris's take, inflation is actually good.
If you were
because that means you have to carry less coins.
If you were told to design a team and you were given the Avalanche colors,
sorry, go ahead, Chris.
If you were designing a hockey team, you were given the Avalanche colors and their font and their jersey design and all of that and told, hey, balance these out. This is how you would do it. You know? Like, this is how you do it. This is how you balance out those two nice colors, you know?
Like, imagine designing them from the ground up, but without black in the equation. Yeah, that's
sure. Yeah,
probably about what you'd do. You're not wrong.
Honestly, yeah.
You don't know how badly I wanted to mute you just now.
Yeah, whatever. Don't really care anymore.
Chris would have left.
So, thank you, Avalanche, for changing things up. It's so funny the way teams seem to change things, because like, isn't a jersey change in any professional sport supposed to be like some big thing that you like tell your fans about? But like, no, they just like skate it out for practice or whatever it is, or whatever those pictures.
I mean, it's not like they changed I feel like we would be mad if they were like, hey guys, jersey reveal coming. Oh look, it's our jerseys, but with blue numbers this time. It's like not a big enough change to really have fanfare about. It's like when the Canadians, speaking of the Canadians, changed their Reebok Edge collars from like the regular ones to the lace, where they went to the draft and were kind of just like, hey, we did this.
I think it's not that I'm anticipating like some sort of reveal event. It's not like you just like put it out on social media, like, hey, we look like this now, you know, instead of just like not even acknowledging. Because I remember back to like 2016, 2017 when the Rams football team, they put out some polls.
Were they in LA at that point, or were they in St. Louis?
They were. No, they had just come to LA, and they had like their complete old look for the first season. But then after that, they like put out like polls online where like, hey, we're switching our equipment to navy and white. Like, what kind of, like, they asked the fans, like, hey, which of these pants designs would you prefer? And they put out like a poll and all that. But like, they let the fans know, like, hey, they couldn't change the jerseys because of the rules. But they're like, hey, our equipment's going to change so we can be primarily navy and white when we wear our white jerseys. So like, here's our options. Here's what we're gonna do. And just like, you don't need a whole event to reveal it because it's just the equipment changing. But like the Avs didn't do that for their equipment changing. They just kind of came out and were at the first game, and then like, I think it's very interesting. And I don't know if it's because of the pandemic or because of supply chain stuff or what. I don't know how any of that works or how any of that works from that end. But it's just interesting that these things just kind of get put out and there's not even any acknowledgement of them, you know.
I still would argue that to anybody that doesn't care about this stuff, it's just a minor change and not enough to reveal. But
that's what Twitter's for. You just put out stuff and people forget about it by the next day.
You're not wrong.
Sometimes they forget it an hour later.
I need to screenshot that one. That one's going.
So it's nice to be keeping track of all those little changes and things, but I just found it interesting. They should, don't you kind of I know most people think their fans don't care about that, but some fans really do. They really care about the jerseys and things like that. And if there's something new to buy, don't you want to tell people? I don't know if they're for sale. Probably not. Maybe that's why they haven't yet.
That's a good point, actually. I'm surprised they aren't like, hey guys, we made a change, go buy it.
They're probably not ready yet, something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Seattle's are on sale now or something like that, and they were unveiled over a year ago. So,
oh gosh, yeah, that's a good point, I guess.
Who knows?
Let's move on to our feature presentation. What was that? What was that? The VHS music is and now for your feature presentation. Yeah.
Oh. God.
Okay.
Yes, that one.
Okay, now I can see waveforms. Sometimes I cannot see my own waveforms through our recording program thing. That one just full on maxed out the whole thing. If I kept doing that for 30 seconds, I would just have a whole purple bar.
Nobody knows or cares what you're talking about, but go on. We good over there?
Yeah, we're good. We're
good. Sounds good. Anyway, we are going to talk about the 2022 Winter Classic. For those who don't know, the Winter Classic is a National Hockey League game that takes place outside and on New Year's Day in the winter. Yeah, in the winter, for sure. That's how that works and how that goes. And so, first off, full disclaimer. Well, the game is between the Minnesota Wild and the St. Louis Blues in Minnesota. And so the Blues released their uniform just this past week, and the Wild had done so before that. So first off, full disclosure, I did not realize the Wild had already unveiled theirs. I knew they were supposed to, but before we recorded, I didn't realize they were actually out.
They unveiled theirs first.
Yes, I knew they were supposed to, and that's why I was confused when I saw St. Louis. I'm like, oh, where's Minnesota then? And I was looking up, I'm on this stupid podcast. How did I miss that? How did I not notice that? And then I looked at the date of Chris Kramer's Sportslogos.net article on it, and it was the same day I got engaged. So that explains why I didn't notice it at all.
Okay, so now you have, if you ever forget your anniversary of engagement, just remember to look up when that jersey was unveiled. It's like for me with I don't know if I've told the story on the podcast before. If I ever forget when I graduated high school, I look up Penguins Senators Game 7, and I graduated the day after that. Because the day before that, I was at the big screen watching that game.
What if you get something like that? What if you get confused and you confuse yourself and you think that you graduated on that day because you kept telling yourself it's that day?
I don't know. Then I'm one day off, whatever. If I'm being dead honest, if I had to go back and pick one of those and get rid of the other one, I'd go to Game 7 every time. My graduation was cool, but I sat there, people talked, I walked up, I got a piece of paper,
This thing is turning into Brendan's sad life story hour.
That's literally every graduation, to be honest with you.
Me buys a Minnesota Wild Winter Classic jersey. It's why is there $140 missing from our running account? It's like, well, I had to remember what day that happened, so I had to buy this to remember that.
Okay, but now you actually need to buy that jersey just because of the significance of it.
Just for the jokes.
Yeah, no,
This jersey was unveiled the day that we got engaged. That is why I must have one.
Yeah, then she'd be like, who are the Mupples? Speaking of, Bpoe, would you mind?
Oh, okay.
Would you mind showing the jersey now? Because the Minnesota Wild.
Can I get a drum roll, please?
No, just do it. It's too ridiculous. It sounded nothing like a drum.
You know, I try my best with what I've got.
There it is.
You have a lot more than that.
In all its glory.
Yeah, so according to the incomparable Chris Kramer, the jersey uniform for the Minnesota Wild, you got elements from previous teams of long ago.
Actually, that is incorrect. I think we had this conversation in the Discord. I will say, too, I got most of my reference images from Aesthetics because I don't know how, but they got a lot of images that I haven't seen elsewhere. This is the jersey it is inspired by. The St. Paul Saints, which, if you look at it, is almost a carbon copy.
Huh, so it is. No, yeah, I can't argue with that. Pretty good.
The main differences are like the crest is different, and there is one hem stripe instead of two. And obviously, the colors are Minnesota Wild colors. That's about it.
Obviously, the St. Paul Saints are now a minor league baseball team, so, like, what does that have? What does that even mean with all this?
It is not the same St. Paul Saints. The Winter Classic jersey was not inspired by a baseball team. I will say that much.
Indeed. So you got the the vintage leather-esque looking equipment. Kind of, it's not faux leather because that's a completely different thing. But you got the really vintage looking.
It's like a canvas type of color.
Sure. And we got the really vintage looking crest on the front. The MPLS, Minneapolis, St. Paul representing the Twin Cities. You got 2 stars for probably Twin Cities. I don't know. You got that same Winter Classic looking collar that you've had before. That nice captain's patch, honestly. And then you got that old vintage looking yoke too up on top of there. And of course, the defining element being that stripe going across the chest at the top near the collar. Plus, I think the state of Minnesota in the middle there, the red one, is felt, correct?
I believe so. I wouldn't be surprised because it's Winter Classic.
It just felt right.
Also on the pants, we've got, it's a little diamond. It has the Minnesota outline and the stars around it, and it says State of Hockey on the outside.
What is the state of hockey?
Solid?
Not where is it, but like, what is it?
I guess.
It's not a liquid. It's also
I thought it was cold.
Yeah. That's not a state, though, is it? I guess.
You've never been to cold.
True.
Anyway, so.
And then one other thing that I don't think I've seen an image of anywhere else. I found this one on like the team shop. Is the back of the jersey with the font in particular, but it's also got those canvas colored elbow patches. Have you not seen those yet?
I think I heard somebody mention them, like some frustrated Twitter user, but like I hadn't really seen them.
Yeah, and I hadn't seen a picture of like the font on the back yet either, until I found that one.
The font's good. I like the font.
I like the font. The font is good. I mean, if we're ready for
on the back, so the sleeves are interesting. That's where I'm gonna leave that.
I was gonna say, if we're ready to go into full on opinions, honestly, like I love this jersey. This jersey is not a full-time home and road. This is not an alternate jersey, like a full-time alternate jersey. This is a winter classic jersey, and it is meant to look like a classic jersey. It is meant to look like it comes from like 100 years ago. And I think this jersey does that pretty much perfectly. I don't think it would work in any other context. The crest is weird. It looks very unrefined, but I mean, look at this jersey. Does it look that refined to you? It's like 100 years old. The chest, the weird, like below shoulder, but not quite chest stripe thing, it's a little clunky, sure. But it adds to the look of this jersey so much that I am perfectly fine with it. Again, this could not work in any other context. And even like the elbow patches, I could live without those. But I don't mind them either because this is going to be worn for one game, maybe two more indoors if they decide to. Teams do that a lot. And that's hopefully about it. And for what the purpose of this jersey is, I think it does just about everything right. And I almost wonder if this is one of my favorite Winter Classic jerseys just because it does its job perfectly. It's not the best jersey design we've ever seen, but it does its job so well, in my opinion.
It really does capture the vintage feel. It's something about the colors too, just like really captures like a good vintage feel of a hockey jersey. And yeah, some of the design elements look really weird now, and people say, "Oh, you shouldn't have had that. You should have gotten rid of these dumb little things." It's those little quirks that are going to make this memorable. Because remember, the Wild, we talked before, the Wild played in an outdoor game before. Almost nobody remembers it because it just wasn't that memorable of a game or of a uniform, But I think people are going to remember these a little more.
This is also their first crack at a Winter Classic. That game was a stadium series.
Exactly, too. And so as far as capturing an old aesthetic, great job by them. Good use of colors. I mean, I kind of expected a red jersey, not going to lie. But, I'm glad they went with this route. It's interesting seeing their cream color against the the canvas leather color of the equipment. Surprisingly, it doesn't clash too much. Again,
I think it's because in this case it's basically just a white substitute.
Yeah, it functions as a white substitute.
You hear that, guys? Cream is a white substitute.
Oh, no.
We're coming for you, whites. Anyway, moving on from that. Yeah, it's so old that it's funky. I guess it's a funky looking uniform, a funky looking jersey. No, it's strange, it's weird, but it's got all these little quirks that are going to help. I'm not saying it's going to be beloved. It's not going to go down as one of the team's best jerseys. It's not going to do that. But it does a good job of being what it's supposed to be. For sure.
And kind of to that point, I want to bring up too, so Hockey by Design, if you don't know about them, they're another website that talks about hockey jerseys and stuff. They tweeted out this fix, which just removes the top stripe and moves the logo up a bit. I think makes it a bit bigger. Is it a better jersey? Sure. Is it a better Winter Classic jersey? I don't think so. I think having that stripe there just adds to the vintage look a lot more. If the Wild wanted to bring this back as an alternate, please remove that stripe and put your regular logo on it. Do what this, fix. I call it fix because I don't think it is, but of course they think so. That's subjective. I'm not going to say that they're wrong, but yeah, I think this is a better modern day jersey, but I don't think it's a better jersey in the context that it's in.
This might feel, well, first off, I'm pretty sure I saw this image from Hockey by Design online before I saw any other image of the actual jersey, so yippee for me. But then secondly, I feel like removing that stripe on the chest just makes the sleeves feel way too busy. And I don't know why.
That's a good point, actually. I think that makes sense because the chest is now just like, it's not bare, but like it feels a lot more bare.
No, it's
Because
remember
ultimately,
the
like that hem
wild.
stripe isn't that big, which is I'm sure why they only had one stripe down there instead of two, which smart on that part. But yeah, in comparison, you've got like the numbers on the sleeves and then two stripes. Yeah, no, I see what you mean.
Of
Even though
course, there
I've done
what.
designs like this before, I think in my own
Of course
concepts, but
it doesn't feel bare because the wild logo isn't a bear. It's just a
uh,
generic wild animal.
I get it. Funny. Anyways.
Bpo?
what?
Keep moving forward. Let's move on.
Oh,
Because in every Winter Classic, it's a game, and so there's two teams.
it's only game. Why you have to be mad?
Well, you have to be mid. Oh, Ilya Brizgalov, treasure. Gosh, what a man! What a man!
You could say
So
that
Winter Classic.
that the stripe here is humongous big.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, that was a stretch. I think it's time to.
Yeah, that was a stretch.
Every Winter Classic features two teams because the hockey's a game where two teams play against each other, and that's how that works. So again, the other team is the St. Louis Blues, who've also unveiled their Winter Classic uniform for 2022 on the January 1st, the year 2022, the year of our Lord. Anywho, they did what a lot of people kind of people. There were rumors swirling around for a while. I don't remember from where even that. Oh, they're going to take their heritage jersey that they wore in the 17 Winter Classic, and they're going to make a cream vintage white version of it. We're just like, okay, that'd be fun. They went above and beyond that. They basically made an Adidas version of their inaugural white home jersey. But instead of it being white, no, it's vintage white cream.
I mean, that's kind of what I'd expected. Like, honestly, I'll bring this up now. This jersey might not be the one you were thinking of, because the one on the right is the one that I would have thought of. The more common, like vintage white St. Louis Blues jersey. But the one on the left there is the actual 1967 version, where instead of like blue with yellow surrounding it and then a little tiny blue, it's just a big yellow stripe surrounded by blue. Think like the
vintage,
old New Jersey Devils striping, yellow on the inside, blue on the outside, basically.
And by vintage white, I assume you meant vintage, white, because those are just white jerseys.
Vintage, white. So there is a distinction there. I was fully expecting the one on the right, but in vintage white, to be unveiled.
Yeah, because that would have made more sense as kind of a cohesive set. But they went back to their first season, which, looking at NHLuniforms.com, their white jerseys were different from their first season than any other season. A little stranger, a little more basic. Still the same, striping on the yoke overall, except it's more of a square yoke. But either way, I don't care how you feel about this. This is so cool. This is really cool to see. This is going to be really cool to see on the ice. Like, this is just a good hockey uniform. I'm sorry, just like that yoke striping is phenomenal, and yet the sleeve and hem striping and the sock striping, like, it's historically. Would it have been your first choice? Like, no. Pairing yellow with vintage white sounds like a really strange thing to do. But no, the blue and the lighter blue and yellow just kind of work well together, and the cream just kind of evens it all out. I think it helps. Weird saying this.
I think it helps that the vintage white and the yellow don't touch. I mean, I guess they do in one instance, and it's the very end of the yoke striping, and that's it. Which the yoke striping is still surrounded in blue, so you don't really notice it. I think that's why the yellow works with the vintage white.
the more I look at it, the more I enjoy it. Because I feel like the vintage white kind of helps to mellow everything out. Like I feel like if you had a white, if this was white instead, it would still be really good. But like with Minnesota, it wouldn't be as memorable. I feel like you just feel like, oh, they just rehashed their old thing. Great, like they did just a little bit. They just did enough. It seems to. No, oh my gosh, that's what a winter classic jersey is supposed to look like. It's so if you want something futuristic, go to the Stadium Series. Everybody hates the futuristic for the most part, though. They like the old vintage type. You're like, oh, they just copy what they have before. Yeah, isn't it great? Sometimes, just for one game a year, like, how could you complain about this? Like, this is just really, really nice to look at.
Yeah, this jersey is very nice. My one complaint might be that it just doesn't necessarily seem to fit the era of the Minnesota one. It looks more 1960s than like 1930s, which I'd put the Minnesota one at. However, this jersey design is so simple that it could fit in that era. So I almost wonder if we're going to get kind of that this could have happened, but it didn't type of thing. But other than that, like this jersey it's not what I was expecting, but I think I like this better because there's something to me about the hem striping on the like more well-known version that is like the blue, yellow, then blue again, where it's just almost too busy when you put it with the shoulder yoke with the stripe in it as well. So I think this one works a little better. And also you have more consistency where the shoulder stripe is literally just the hem stripe, but on the shoulder.
I think the question you can ask yourself is, what is the purpose of a Winter Classic uniform set between both teams? Is it to capture a certain era, or is it just to showcase a vintage look inspired by the franchise or the city that the team played in? I think it's the latter one for sure. I think that's what it's supposed to be, and they did this super well here. This is going to be really, really nice looking. Like, we didn't talk much about Minnesota's equipment because I didn't feel like we need to. There wasn't a ton to say, but like here, like even the simplest little details on St. Louis's ones, like the glove, like the wrist on the glove, somewhat matching the.
Oh yeah,
the fact that there's
a color, huh?
Yeah, that too. I mean, you've got kind of a. I doubt you have any better pictures of that, but whatever. Yeah, you got a little bit of a canvas color on that, and just
you could try and just like make it larger.
Okay, I'm gonna look at each uniform from the front, like imagining it, looking at it front facing. Minnesota has 10 little red stripes that you can just see. It's good. It's inspired by something old, and it works nicely. It's great. There's just something about St. Louis having, you got the one yellow sleeve stripe, the other yellow sleeve stripe, the yellow hem stripe, yellow sock stripes, and then that one yellow stripe tying it together across, the bottom of the yoke. Like, that's, like, no offense to Minnesota and the St. Paul Saints, that's how we like seeing stripes across a jersey. The way St. Louis does it here, that's how we like to see it. I have no complaints. I really don't. They could. It's funny because the Blues have like a really good home and road set, but just get rid of white from your color scheme. Just go with the lighter blue, the gold and cream full time. I don't want to see it happen.
Arguably,
like, would it
pull it off.
Would it be bad? No.
Another interesting thing about this matchup is that it's the second time in total, and the first time since 2012 that both teams are going to be wearing cream. Normally, it's like one team wearing the cream or the vintage white versus the other team just in regular white. Toronto in vintage white in 14 against Detroit in regular white. Or no, sorry, other way around. Detroit had the vintage white, and Toronto had the regular white on their jersey.
Sure.
And like last year, Dallas, vintage white, Nashville, 2020 at this point, Nashville, regular white. The only other time was both the Rangers and the Flyers in 2012 with vintage white on their jerseys. So it's nice that there's that synergy between these two for sure. I think that makes for a better matchup where it's like, one of them is a dirty white and the other one's a regular bright white. Like I'd say for these matchups, because, like you said, this is something that you think like a team should look back to their history, like the city of, rather than like looking at it as a game. But I think that the jerseys, since it's meant for a specific game, they should have cohesion between them and they should be designed that way. And like era appropriateness between each other. What I also don't get, I saw some people after the Blues one was unveiled that were like, they should have went with the 90s jerseys. I'm like, what? The Winter Classic is not a time for the 90s jerseys.
Oh my gosh. What the?
Also, you just had those ones back. Twice.
Oh, but
you had the regular ones and the reverse retros.
No, I meant like the early '90s ones that had the reds, and I like those better.
Imagine the Minnesota ones that were actually unveiled against a Winter Classic version of the trumpet one that I think it was Mike Keenan just didn't let the team wear.
You're despicable.
That would be awful.
This might sound weird, but who cares? When I'm watching a hockey game, sometimes if both teams have yolks, I'll like get distracted by the shapes of the yolks. And these two jerseys have very different yoke shapings. For those who didn't know, the yoke's the little space on the shoulders where it's filled in and colored. Blues have a nice square one that Adidas does really well. And then you get this really, really interesting vintage looking one that, again, is supposed to invoke a far previous era on Wild. So that'll be interesting to see.
Which is the same style that Dallas wore in 2020. The like thinner round one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. I'm assuming Minnesota's got a green helmet.
I would have to assume. I don't think that's been unveiled at all, but I would assume, like, just if you look at the jersey. The only other thing I could possibly imagine them doing is like a canvas colored one, but that doesn't really make any sense, and I don't think that would work. So
no, I mean, what the cream would be their maize cream color would be interesting, but
well, I think if that was possible, I feel like the Blues would have done that. I feel like the reason the Blues didn't do that and went with a blue helmet on a white, so to speak, jersey is because that cream just wouldn't be able to be replicated in the helmet material.
Can you imagine they have to wear a white helmet on that?
Oh.
It's funny because like we're not used to seeing colored helmets on really light cream.
At least not at this scale.
But like
you've obviously got like beer leagues or whatever where it's just like you got one helmet and that's it.
But when you just have this incredible color block and you have this connection between the yoke and the helmet here, and then you have this other block of similar proportions in the pants, I guess. Like you just look at it, you just zoom out, you got these two nice blocks of color that really balance each other out well, and crest right in the middle of it. So the NHL did a good job. I mean, I don't know if they had any extra time to like work on stuff, but like if this Winter Classic happens and the world doesn't end before then, like it'll look good.
I don't know how loud you thought that was, but that was very audible.
It was so loud.
Okay, it's not like my door's open. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like I can't.
Motorcycle just broke through your living room.
Oh, that's hilarious. It's probably some car too, like not even a motorcycle.
One thing that we haven't really touched on though, the event logo itself. Do we want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's finish up with that. Why not? I haven't looked at this one much, so let me just kind of stare at it for 10 to 11 seconds.
10, 9, 8.
I can't look with you counting.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It says Winter Classic Minnesota to 2022. It's, you know what's really funny to me? First off, aside from the top of it being horizontal across, it looks to be about the same shape of shield as the Kraken inaugural patch.
You're not. I mean, yeah,
It's very similar. It's not the same, but
again,
it's similar.
it's just a shield shape. I think the like bottom of this one is a little bit more like angled. The angle goes further down.
It's less angled. It's less angled than the Kraken one. Yeah, but it's still interesting that you have like rounded corners and a point to the bottom. I guess.
I guess it is kind of just generic shield shape. So
I don't know, some shields. There's a lot of different shield shapes out there. Anyway, it's a Winter Classic logo. I do like the shape of the logo. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like it works well.
I think
would have been fun.
Is redone too. I think the script looks really nice. The font, the classic font they paired it with, works well. The one for Minnesota in 2022 is interesting, where it's just square basically. At least the 2022 especially it shows, but I think it looks like it's carried over to Minnesota. I wouldn't think a third font would work, but it actually works pretty well. Like I'd normally limit it to 2, maybe 3 max, but yeah, it somehow all fits together really well. You know, the snow down the bottom, the pond or the lake or whatever in the background and the trees. I think it gives off exactly the vibes that it wants to give off.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, you got snow, you got trees, you got winter, and that winter script again is always beautiful. You got the classic and this nice slab serif wide extended font feels really nice. That's one of the best parts of it. And then the colors, you know, they got plenty of wild green in there, but you know, you got some of the vintage white, and then the navy that the Winter Classic is kind of adopted as well. So like,
which makes sense, especially in this case because it's water. I think if you went to a lake and the water was red, I think you'd be concerned.
Okay, I did not realize that was representing a lake right there.
I literally said it was a lake.
I didn't hear that. Because you know what because maybe it's just late, but like you know what I saw on the bottom, because on the bottom I saw like I thought those were like snow-capped mountains down at the bottom there. I thought there were 2 separate scenes, but no, it's just one big scene in the look.
No, like honestly, like take the text out of it, make it a square, and I would hang this up on my wall as a painting. Like a piece of decor. It's a nice looking scene. It really is.
Man, let's go skate.
I want to see from the NHL just like promotional pieces where it's just this scene and little people are like skating on the pond. That would look really cool.
That would.
Like make that the cover of the game program. Honestly,
yeah, go set up a meeting.
I'll hop on my weekly Zoom call with Gary Bettman tomorrow and tell him.
Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. You know, it's funny because every outdoor game event the NHL puts on, there's always something wrong. There's always something like major. Like, why did they do this? Why didn't they do that? Like, yeah, there's a lot of little strange things happening throughout the uniforms and the look, but like, I don't think we have anything to complain about here, really. You know?
Yeah, not really. Like, honestly, this might be one of the better Winter Classics I've seen. You know, this might be one of the better ones in a long time.
Yeah. For
like,
once,
each of these jerseys kind of offset each other in the perfect way, where Minnesota's is like really busy, and St. Louis is just so simple that it works. And they both have the vintage white between each other, so there's not a disconnect there like there is pretty much every other year, unfortunately. This might be one of my favorite Winter Classics, and I'm excited to see them actually on the ice together.
For once, we're rendered without anything to complain about, and this whole episode is pretty meaningless because that's kind of like our thing. What we're supposed to do is complain about how things can be better. And like, yeah, the Minnesota jersey is like really busy when you first look at it, but like,
it's like it encapsulates the era that it wants to so well.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think it was pointed out by Chris from Aesthetics. I believe it was him who pointed out that like This Wild jersey is like, it doesn't have any Minnesota Wild on it. The colors,
Yeah,
that's
that
it.
is interesting.
It says Minneapolis, St. Paul was the state of Minnesota. It's not anything like even the Predators who did like an older one. It still said Predators. Dallas's said well, I think they based it off a team called the Stars, but yeah, there's no Minnesota Wild on this aside from the colors, but like it still looks like their jersey because of the way that they did it.
So the Wild have their patch on their weird looking shoulder yoke, and it works because of the green. Where do the Blues have their Winter Classic patch? Which is on the shoulder. Yeah,
you can kind of see it on the shoulder. That you can see it better in this one. Yeah, same spot.
Even that doesn't look bad. Because I was like, oh, the colors are different. It's going like, no, that's fine. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing.
It's small enough that you don't really notice it, like the different colors. So
the thing I'm most interested to see is those Wild elbow patches. Like, how's that going to look on the ice and like during the game? That's the one thing that just like.
Honestly, I think it'll just add to the look, the vintage look, and like again, if you're gonna bring that into the modern era, remove those patches for sure. But for what its purpose is, I think it works fine. It's weird, but like we've never seen that. I don't think ever. Like in any recent memory.
That's true.
Like the Winter Classic has done some weird things because they have the ability to. This is not one of them, and I really like it.
You know what they should really do is have the players dress in full uniform and then take them on like some super dangerous ski slopes, and then you just like actually sew up whatever rips and tears they have in the jerseys instead of putting fake patches.
Sure. That would look wonderful.
Mm-hmm. That's like a clause in their contracts in case of injury due to.
God, imagine seeing these jerseys with like the scenery of Lake Tahoe last year.
Mm. But they would have melted.
I guess.
Because these jerseys are made for the winter. It's Winter Classic, so they melt in the sun.
Yes. The melting point of a hockey jersey is the same as the melting point of water.
That's when they change states. Throw it back.
All right.
That's why they call it Addy Zero, because you need 0 degrees Celsius for it to work.
I get it. That makes a lot of sense.
Indeed it does. Well, this was a classic episode. Haha.
Jokes.
Haha, very funny.
Yeah. Nothing much to complain about. Life is pretty darn good over in the winter soda. This is Winter Classic in Minnesota.
No.
Then you have St. Louis soda. St. Louisapolis. Mini Louis.
Mini Louis.
St. Paul and St. Louis. See, I took the Saint from St. Louis and put it after the St. Paul, like put it St. Paul, and then the Saint from St. Paul and put it together with the Louis from St. Louis. You see? St. Paul and St. Louis.
Yeah. Paul from Red.
Louis Paul.
Louis.
Paul
and
Louis.
Louis from Meet the Robinsons. Yeah. Of course. That's how that works.
From now on, this will be known as the Paul Louis game, and I will refer to it as nothing else.
I respect it. Sounds good. Anywho, thanks for listening. Be sure to check out our Redbubble store, our Discord, We haven't been very active on the socials lately because we've just been busy with life and everything, but we're happy to be back on.
I mean, like I said, Chris got engaged and Hunter had a baby, so busy.
A baby came out of Hunter.
Hunter gave birth. Confirmed. No clicks.
And the baby
it's
is
canon
named
now.
The baby is named Wendy. It's not named.
It's not.
Don't quote me. Don't quote me on that. What did he say? What?
If you would like to learn Hunter's baby name, join our Discord.
Yeah, there you
Honestly,
go.
because there was a name that Justin told us, but I don't know if it's the actual name or not, or if he's just.
Oh no, that's it. At least
joking.
according to Hunter's Instagram post, it's Orion.
Yeah,
At least
named
that's
after.
how you pronounce it.
Now they're not going to have to go join the Discord.
That was. Shut up.
Well, named
that wasn't.
named after famed jersey template creator Orion Taylor, right?
Orion Jaeger Jones.
I
Jaeger,
love that
named
name.
after.
I'm assuming
Alcohol.
that is how the middle name is pronounced.
Daddy, how'd I get my middle name? I like alcohol.
You see, son, I had a problem before you were born.
It's like that one video or whatever. It's like, Dad, how did I get my name? Oh, it's because your mother really likes roses.
Oh.
Dad, how did I get my name? You know, NFL 2005. I really liked. I don't know. I couldn't think of anything else.
You mean 2K? You mean 2K5?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, you know. Daddy. I was gonna say Daddy Hunter, but no, let's not say that.
The new episode title? Question mark.
Daddy. I mean, Daddy. I mean, Daddy. I mean, Daddy. I mean, Daddy.
You could be like, how did I get my first name? And he could be like, well, your mother likes the constellations in the sky, and that was the only one I could name. So.
Oh no. Oh no.
How did we get our last name? We're white. It's a really basic white last name for those who don't. We're not going to go giving out last names because then, you'll steal. I was going to say steal your social security, but they're in Canada. What does Canada have?
My social security number is. Now, you're not going to know what I said because in post, I'm going to bleep that out with the Penguin Bullhorn.
Yeah, that Goldhorn was way too quiet on the last one. You got to make it super ear-splitting loud for this one, okay?
Oh no.
Subscribe to our OnlyFans to find find the uncensored version of this podcast and hear my social security number.
No, I'm not.
Subscribe to the OnlyFans to see just more pictures of my face.
I reject your lifestyle and all that comes with it. Anyway, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're not already watching the video feed and looking at great reference images that Bpoe gathers. I was going to say every week, but now we kind of become more of a when we have time. But we're going to try to make it more consistent however we can. Hopefully everybody else can out. Hopefully Justin grows a beard so we can be like the rest of us.
For those of you listening, live studio audience is currently giving me bunny ears.
Because I have the mental capacity of a 5-year-old.
Me too. It's okay.
Anyway, everybody, thanks for sticking around. I am Chris. That's a naughty little bunny boy. And we just recorded a podcast.
Just recording a podcast. How about you?
And scene.
The Jersey Nerds podcast is a production of Jersey Nerds Media. The Jersey Nerds are Bpoe, Hunter, Justin, Chris, and Noah. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at @the_Jersey Nerds and hit that link in our bio to find our blog, our Discord channel, our online store, and more. And be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to us. We really appreciate it. From the Jersey Nerds to you, Thanks for just listening to a podcast about you.